and welcome. You are watching this special presentation on MarTech Day brought to you by the Economic Times Brand Equity. The MarTech ecosystem is booming with over 14,000 tools and counting. But in this age of data deluge, AI agents, and platform fragmentation, marketers are asking themselves a fundamental question. Is there anything called a perfect MarTech stack? Or is it very much a MarTech maze? To find the answers to these critical questions, I have with me one of the leading voices of MarTech in India, Mr. Deepak Oram from HDFC Bank. Thank you very much, Deepak, for joining us here today. So to start with, Deepak, I would like to understand from you, given the pace at which MarTech is evolving, is the concept of a perfect stack achievable, or is it more of a moving target? How do you see it?
The straight answer is there is no such thing as a perfect MarTech stack. A MarTech stack is like a garden as opposed to a machine. People think since it's marketing technology, automation, it's like a machine. It's not like a machine, unfortunately. It's like a garden. You have to periodically water it. You have to prune the overgrown stuff. You have to put some manures at some point to rejuvenate it. And so basically what I'm trying to say is you have to tend to it over time. It is never
Yeah.
perfect, always evolving. And it is always evolving because customer behavior keeps changing, channel preferences keep changing all the time, compliance and rules and regulations keep changing all the time, right? And this is the ecosystem MarTech operates in. So there is no choice for it to be ever perfect. It will always keep changing.
Fantastic. From stack fatigue to stack fitness, what does this optimized MarTech world or optimized MarTech ecosystem really look like?
So stack fatigue, let me define first. Stack fatigue is when
Yes.
people want something new in the stack. They get bored with the old stuff. They want faster speed. They want more agility. They want higher turnaround times, less data manipulation, and so on and so forth. Right. So the people get tired of their sort of legacy stacks at certain points. Right. Having said that, stack fitness is not about speed. It is not about how quickly you can do it. It is not about how fast you can do it. It is not how easily you can do it. That's a wrong notion to have. Stack fitness is how effectively can you do it. Sometimes a fitter stack where you don't have to manipulate data means you have to actually work harder, right? Because data is automated, then you have to start thinking how to manage the customer's expectations, how to not quickly shoot things, but shoot them effectively, right? Because that's customer experience, right? Faster is not always better. So stack fitness is about effectiveness with the customer at the center. Stack fatigue is obviously a part of life for every marketer because you'll never be at where you want to be. But yeah, stack
Correct.
fitness is about the customer at the center. It is not about the technology.
So does it mean having fewer tools and more usability?
You can have fewer tools for sure, but and we'll talk about this maybe later. But we are in an age where uh, because of newer innovations in like AI and how coding becoming easy, people will create their own tools, right? So while you can have a
Yeah.
purpose bought platform where you do certain things, but since now technology has taken a huge leap, people will build their own toolkits, they'll build their own wrappers, they'll build their own little hacks which they will use. A stack is never not necessarily going to be simpler. A stack is always going to be complex. I think it's a misnomer that a simpler stack is a better stack, right? Imagine you're trying to cook a great meal for a few relatives of good friends that have come over, right? If you cook it in the simplest way, the shortest way, let's say you make a cup of Maggi noodles, right? It is the easiest and simplest to make, but it may not impress your customer, which is the guest that is coming over, right? So this notion that something is very simple is going to impress the customer is a complete a nonsense way to go, right? You have to have complexity hidden behind in the organization, whether it's marketing, whether it's service, whether it's sales, whether it's a retail branch, right? The complexity is always going to be there at the back end to ensure there is customer wow in the front end, but complexity you cannot take away, whether it's marketing or in the customer service department.
Fantastic. So what have been your key, lessons in simplifying integrations and ensuring seamless flow, across the stack?
I think a lot of folks make a mistake of taking the organization's needs at times too seriously, and they customize
Hmm.
way too much, right? So if you look at what technology you purchase, right? Today, look at any logo, any vendor, think it up in your head. They probably have 100, 200, 300 customers in India or globally, right? So they are doing a lot of work to curate what most marketeers want by having a test bed of hundreds of organizations, right? So these martech providers, they are
Yeah.
actually very knowledgeable, right? It is not always the marketeer who's the most knowledgeable. They have to be humble about it. So leverage what they have given in the
Hmm.
first, leverage that first before customizing. It is the customization that becomes a headache 5 years later, right? So people should think a little creatively and say, look, I have this customer problem, and always start with the customer problem. And here is how complex it is to achieve. Is it less complex to achieve? I can use out of the box feature in my software. I will do both together fast because customer problem exists and the solution exists in my system that I purchased. Do that first. Do not customize. Do not create external data flows unnecessarily. Work with the data you already have. Once you've exhausted the customer, let's say engagement numbers, the lifts, then only look at customization.
Hmm.
Customization cannot be a goal in onto itself, right? First exhaust the customer behavior lift that you want, and you've exhausted and you've plateaued, then yes, but not before that.
Fantastic. Great insights, Deepak. One thing that the more I read about, technology infrastructure that is powering marketing today, uh, what appears the most prominent today is the agentic AI or AI agents. This is the new beast that is supposed to help you tackle dynamic world issues. So, and some places have gone on to say that, AI agents will now redefine the entire MarTech ecosystem or MarTech infrastructure. What's your bird's eye view on AI agents, and are they actually making an impact in your in the very architecture of your MarTech stack?
Okay. Again, let's start with the value. Okay, so when we look at
Hmm.
tech and execution, we look at customer being at the center. Let me start there. If you look at any toolkit that is coming for the marketeer, the customer is the marketeer, right? Now, what does the
Yeah.
customer want? Okay, what does a marketeer want? Any marketeer that is there in India or globally today obviously has a task which is reduce cost, right? Can you
Correct.
reduce the cost of acquisition, cost of servicing, cost of communication, so on and so forth? But if you really think about it in the KRAs, is that the biggest component? It never really is. The biggest component is, have you grown the customer revenue? Have you grown customer
Yeah.
satisfaction? Have you grown the top line, right? It is always that one. So look at agentic from that point of view, right? And think long term. So a lot of people are making a mistake saying, look, I can get rid of my workflow around image generation, and I will then get accolades for it. Great, you will definitely for sure, but is that really solving the biggest problem for your organization, right? So when you say agentic, it is more
Hmm.
around not cost saving, in my view, which will become the next big thing. It is the revenue growth, and people have to figure out what is it that agents will do that human beings don't do that well. For example,
Yeah.
human don't do iteration very well. We launch a campaign, then we sit and we don't change the subject lines, we don't change landing pages, we don't A/B test content as much as we would like. And every CMO, every head of marketing has this problem, right? Whoever is convinced about content iteration, A/B testing, optimization, always sees a lack of content that is getting output out there, tested and iterated to grow your business, right? So that is one part I think agentic will really help on. Imagine agentic being an agent that is continuously testing your email subject lines, that is continuously
Hmm.
testing the bounce rate reduction on your landing pages. But what is the agent really doing? Just content generation, right? So if you think of it that way, we have flipped the story. We say content generation will reduce cost of agency. No, content generation will increase revenue. So we should look at agentic from that point of view in the beginning itself and not realize it later, because that is a long-term goal that is beneficial both to the marketer and the organization, and leverage the technology that has come in very, very well.
Correct. Fantastic. Great answer once again, Deepak. Another thing that this, be it agentic AI or your MarTech stack, the core of it, they say, is personalization or personalization at scale. At some stages, you have even mentioned that it's hyper-personalization now and not essentially personalization. So one side, when you have this demand for hyper-personalization, how are you balancing it with the risk and also customer privacy, which also have to be put on the fore?
Customer privacy is 100% paramount. Whether you are CPG, whether you are a retail services organization, whether you're a bank, customer privacy is paramount. I mean, there is no two ways about it. Why? Because when you do not care about customer privacy and
Hmm.
customers are up in arms about it later, your brand will be tarnished forever and there is no recovering from that, right? It's a huge long-term risk that people drive or have when they do not care about customer privacy. So customer privacy has to be paramount. You cannot take shortcuts for short-term revenue goals or customer experience goals to personalize while risking that, because it's a unmitigated disaster for your brand if at all at some point you compromise the privacy of the customer, and it is well known to the outside world that you have taken these shortcuts, right? So completely avoidable. uh, so if that is how critical it is, you have to always stay within the bounds. Whether it's regulatory, even if it's not currently in regulation, we have to apply
Hmm.
common sense. What a marketeer will not appreciate other brands that we as individuals operate in and consume in the world. Okay, if I would not like a brand that I consume do something to me, even the
Hmm.
regulation is always sometimes at a lag. I, as a marketer, should completely stay away from it. It's applying common sense, and regulation is always going to be behind, because that's the nature of it. There's a lot of consensus building that is required, right? People need time to be educated, and so on and so forth. So you have to apply your brain as a marketeer. Don't depend on regulations. Don't depend on compliance coming and telling you something. Self-regulate. Apply common sense, and then don't do something that you would not want someone to do to you.
Okay. But then how do you meet your personalization goals or hyper personalization goals when you are so specific about the requirements that you need to fulfill on the other side? That is, you said common sense should prevail when it comes to customer privacy.
So very simple. Take consent. There will always be customers who want to give a certain level of data in return for a certain level of personalization, right?
Correct.
Consent part is very critical. I think a lot of people think it's binary. They think if you mean privacy, then there is no marketing. That's not
Hmm.
true. If you look at data, if you look at simple cookie acceptance data, the simplest data point that is out there, 60, 70, 80% of people actually give you the consent, right? They
Yeah.
understand that, look, if I want an Amazon like experience where I'm getting product recommendations and that requires someone to store the data and then give me a recommendation, I will love it, right?
Yeah.
So it is completely based on consent. It is completely based on a customer's willingness to give you the rights to use their data in a certain way. When you put a lead into a lead form, right? Any business, you
Hmm.
take consent that, sir, madam, can I call you back? And I will only call
Hmm.
you back for this product and not over and over again over 20 years. No, only for this product. So they want to get called, right? They want to have a discussion with a brand and say, I want certain questions answered about your product, right? So consent
Yeah.
is the less thing you can do. Having said that, it's not the only thing. Having very strong controls, IT controls, best practices.
Hmm.
So data leakage is not possible, right? You are compliant with global standards in terms of security,
Yeah.
secure customer data, storing customer data, encrypting customer data when the consent is given, right? All these are very important things, and we should do them very rigorously.
Fantastic. In this age of platform, proliferation, as well as the way we are seeing MarTech grow leaps and bounds, uh, who should own MarTech orchestration? Should it be with marketing? Should it be with tech? Should it be with product?
See, in orchestration, when you use the word orchestration, let's define that. Orchestration is a communication or a way you treat your customer being defined by an organization. This way of treating a customer, when it's defined by an organization, let's say a call center. Let's take marketing out. Is it defined by a product? Is it defined by the call center manager? Is it defined by the regulator? Is it defined by the CEO, the CFO, or a CIO? You'll notice the call center experience is defined by everyone, right?
Yeah.
The regulator says don't call without consent. CFO says don't call so much, there's a bill. CIO said use the technology efficiently, use voice over IP, it's cheaper and better and faster. Right. So customer, so it is defined by everyone. Orchestration is defined by everyone. Everyone has
Correct.
a role. There is no single owner. And that's the beauty of MarTech, right? Because MarTech has now become customer experience driving system. It's not about acquisition anymore at all, right? So if that is the case, customer experience, as you know, is defined by everyone. Every single employee of a retail organization defines customer experience. Sometimes training that employee defines customer experience, right? So HR has a role to play as well. So my view is MarTech cannot be owned by a single person or a department. It is owned by the entire organization, and it's critical that it is owned by the entire organization because that's how you deliver CX.
Wow, there's so many of departmental silos been broken. Would like to go deeper into it maybe next time when we meet again, so that we understand how does when so many functions are looking after one particular thing, how does it function? But to end the conversation today, I would like you to shed some light on a very personal fact from you. If you had to rebuild this entire MarTech stack for a bank, leave HDFC for a while, you were at a hypothetical situation, you were leading the MarTech at another bank, large bank, how will you do it? What are the capabilities you will invest in, and what is it that you would consciously leave out?
There is giant shifts in technologies that happen, right? The last one, if you remember, was mobile, right?
Yeah.
That happened around mid to late 2010s, right? Mobile became all
Correct.
pervasive. So what happened to us, the most classic thing, right? The website. What happened to the website? You will notice that for about 5 to 6 to 7, 8 years, 10 years sometimes, you would load a website of a big brand on your mobile, and it won't be responsive. By responsivity,
Yeah.
it won't fit the mobile dimensions for 10
Correct.
years. So that's how difficult it is to change technology. And these would be some major brands you notice, and this is a very common example, right? So big technology shifts leave a huge gap in what you want to achieve as customer experience, but as an organization, it's very difficult to deliver, right? So a similar technology shift has happened, which is Gen AI, okay, and
Yeah.
AI in general, right? So what will you do now? Everyone says, "Oh my God, I have to bolt on AI on top of my marketing stack or call center, right? All top on top of my mobile app." That's not ideal. Why can't it be at the bottom at the API level itself? So what I'm showing on my app is already come through API. Why is there no
Yeah.
gen data science itself? Today, data science gives you a segment name and who to target, right?
Correct.
Why can't it just tell me how to create the segment? What is the SQL query to create the segment, right? And then the MarTech system will create that, right? What is the next segment? Create it. So if we had to build the next gen MarTech stack, it will be AI native. Just like in
Wow.
the previous leap, everything became mobile native, mobile first. So
Yeah.
now the new become AI first, Gen AI first. And that's the aspiration. And it'll take some time because the legacy systems today will not support it. So if someone is coding a brand new website today for just for run games, or you want to start a business, ensure you are baking Gen AI into it in the on day one, right? On day one. So that's the future
Correct.
of the stack. The new ones will be Gen AI native.
Fantastic. Great answer once again. Before I let you go, I want to do this 90 seconds inside the MarTech maze with Deepak Oram. So these are a set of rapid fire questions that I'll throw at you, and you can choose to answer in one word or maybe in one sentence. So here is my 90 seconds in the MarTech maze with Deepak Oram. The first MarTech tool that you open every morning.
ChatGPT.
One MarTech buzzword you wish would disappear.
Hyper personalization.
Data or creativity? What drives marketing today?
A mix of both is required, to be honest.
Fantastic. The most overhyped technology in marketing right now?
Blockchain. Anyone says blockchain, I say, boss, what are you doing in marketing?
Fantastic. Okay. The most underrated MarTech capability today?
It still remains your web or mobile analytics. I would love to see
Okay.
people use more analytics to drive decisions. Even after 25 years of them being around.
Fantastic. A MarTech skill every marketer should learn in 2025.
Definitely how to use Gen AI to look at data, not image creation. Look at data. How do you find insights using Gen AI and your existing solution?
Fantastic. Which superhero best describes your MarTech stack?
Uh, Iron Man, right? Iron Man, while powerful and big, but at the center, it is a lot of tech that drives it.
Fantastic. One marketing function you would trust to an AI agent today?
Definitely marketing communications.
Okay. If MarTech were a movie, what genre would it be?
I think it'll be a sci-fi thriller because one is that technology creates the sci-fi part, and it's thrilling to see so many digital transformations that it brings about.
Fantastic. Last question. One word that describes Deepak Oram's relationship with your MarTech stack?
Ever evolving.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Deepak. It was a pleasure having this conversation with you as a part of our MarTech Day layout. And as always, you have been one of the thought leaders in the MarTech space, and it's great to have you on board.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. This was a masterclass in navigating complexity with clarity. From evolving role of AI agents to the myths of stack perfection, Deepak has helped us separate signal from noise. As MarTech becomes more than just marketing technology and shifts towards being marketing infrastructure, or as Deepak said, a customer experience driver, the challenge isn't just about picking the right tools. It's also about utilization and getting the narrative right. Stay tuned with us as we continue with our MarTech Day discussion. And thank you again for joining us for this journey.